Good evening, everyone. This is Councilwoman Dominguez. I'm going to go ahead and start off with my the Murray City Council Chair statement. In accordance with Utah Code 52-4-2074, Open and Public Meetings Act, I have determined that to protect the health and welfare of Murray citizens, an in-person City Council meeting, including attendance by the public and the City Council, is not practical or prudent. Considering the continued rise of COVID-19 case counts in Utah, meeting in an anchor location presents substantial risk to the health and safety of those in attendance because physical distancing measures may be difficult to maintain in the Murray City Council chambers. The Center for Disease Control states that COVID-19 is easily spread from person to person between people who are in close contact with one another. The spread is through respiratory droplets when an infected person coughs, sneezes, or talks, and may be spread by people who are non-symptomatic. It is my intent to safeguard the lives of Murray residents, business owners, employees, and elected officials by meeting remotely through electronic means without an anchor location. You may view the meeting via live stream at www.murraycitylive.com or via our Facebook page at Murray City, Utah. If you would like to submit citizen comments or public hearing comments, you may do so by sending an email in advance or during the meeting to city.council@murray.utah.gov. Comments are limited to less than 3 minutes. Include your name and contact information, and they will be put into the record. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight, and I'm going to go ahead and pass this on to Dale, who will be conducting our meeting. Yeah.
Thank you, Rosalba. Before I open the meeting, I'd like to take a personal privilege and talk about a great man that just passed away on Friday, Dave Naponsky, former chair of the council, 8 years on the council. He worked hard for Murray. He loved Murray. And I'd like to have a moment of silence and remember him if I could. Thank you. With that, we'll open the meeting. We'll call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I've asked Mayor Camp if he would give the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mayor. Next is the approval of the minutes of August 4th, 2020. Are there any changes, additions, or deletions? If not, I'll look for a motion.
I'll move approval of the council meeting minutes, August 4th, 2020.
Do I have a second? Thanks, Diane. Brett. Jennifer?
Ms. Dominguez?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye.
Mr. Hells?
Aye.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Aye. Thank you. Next are citizen comments. Jan, do we have any citizen comments? You're on mute, Jan.
Thank you. I do have a couple of comments that have come in. The first one was actually about the Salt Lake County Property Watch program from Delynn Barney, and it did have some personal information in it and some personal situations that he's involved in with his property. So I was in touch with him and asked him if I could just forward that to the county recorder and see if they can get some information for him privately. And he was fine with that. So I'm not going to read that one. And the second one came in during Committee of the Whole when we were discussing the NeighborWorks development. related to the walkway on Willow Grove Lane. And this is from Emily Barnett. And she stated that the developer originally made a deal with the neighborhood that they would provide a walkway for their children through this street. We had to provide this walkway as part of the agreement. And that's it.
Thank you. All right, next we'll move on to the consent agenda. Consider confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Wendy Parsons Baker on the history board for a 3-year term to expire April 1st, 2023. Do you want me to do them all, Mayor, or do you want to do one at a time?
You can do them all, or I can do them all, whichever you prefer.
Okay. Consider confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Rebecca Santa Cruz to the history board for a 3-year term that expires August 1st, 2023. Consider confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Laurel and Shephard to the history board for a 3-year term that expires August 1st, 2023. Mayor?
Okay, thank you. As you mentioned, these are reappointments to the History Advisory Board. The first is Wendy Parsons Baker. These are all for 3-year terms to expire the 1st of August of 2023. So we are very pleased to have Wendy, as well as Rebecca Santa Cruz and Laurel and Shephard, all have agreed to be reappointed. So we appreciate them agreeing to do that, and we ask you for your support of the consent agenda this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. Are there any questions for the mayor? I'll look for a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. We'll take them all together, right? So.
Right. Thank you.
Certainly.
I will go ahead and second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Jennifer?
Ms. Dominguez,
Aye. Sorry.
Ms. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. Hells,
Aye.
Ms. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Cox.
Aye. Thank you. We'll move on to business items. Consider a resolution authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding with Kimball Investments LLC and ICO Multifamily Holdings LLC, jointly developer, Melinda Greenwood and Jared Hall presented.
Thank you. So as with the presentation that we did at the committee of the whole, I'm going to let Jared take the reins here, but did want to make note that we do have Justin Kimball with us tonight. He was with Kimball Development. He is the applicant, and I'll let Jared take it from here.
Thank you. Just going to go ahead and share this screen real quick. Make sure you can all see it. Are you all seeing the slides? Is that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to quickly go through this memorandum and give you a little bit of background on the project that it's associated with. It's not something that we see very often. A memorandum of understanding is prescribed for mixed-use developments in Murray's mixed-use zone when they are larger than 5 acres or when they are horizontal mixed-use, meaning that the commercial components, the commercial part of the project is not necessarily underneath the residential structures. That would be a vertical mixed-use. This is a little bit different. In this particular project at 4670 South, 900 East, we call it Van Winkle Crossing. It is 10.52 acres, so it qualified for needing a memorandum of understanding in both ways. It is a horizontal, has both aspects, so it has horizontal components, and it's also over the 5 acres. The Planning Commission approved back in December last year the project entitled the Master Site Plan, but part of that approval requires that the city enter into a memorandum of understanding with the developers, hence this particular project. And I noted Melinda mentioned that Justin's with us. Stephen Hopkins from MyCo Development is also here. They're joint applicants in the venture. So this is the old Kmart site on 9th East. You see 9th East on this part of the screen right here. The Kmart 10 point something acres right here. The building would be removed in favor of the larger mixed use project. And we can go through some of that real quickly, and then we can talk about how the mixed use project is controlled by this memorandum and the purpose for that. You can see people are also familiar with Ivy Place just here to the south. It is in the mixed use zone, as we mentioned. The zoning was changed previous to the or prior to the Planning Commission's review of the project. It is like I said, a larger enough project that it requires this memorandum, and the memorandum is going to control several things about the project. This is a site plan for the project, and you can see there's commercial components out here on 900 East, and then you have the bulk of the residential buildings here toward the back of the project. And there is this one road that runs through the project. It's actually just a parking lot, but it's been used as a right-of-way for many, many years, and there was a lot of concern among public safety officials and planning and engineering staff to keep that road open so that the residents of the area behind in Mill Creek to the west could get back out to 900 East and use that for access to points north and south. This site plan is part of it's an attachment to the memorandum. And the reason that we need a memorandum of understanding for this kind of project is to control basically the phasing of the project, when the different components are built and how they're done, and to make sure that certain components do in fact get constructed, so we don't have a half-built project and never see the rest of it realized. So to that end, the first thing that the memorandum does is assigns in writing that this is a mixed-use development that consists of 421 residential units. They're in these buildings, 421 of them altogether, and no less than 21,000 square feet of commercial space to be developed as individual projects, but to be completed within 5 years of the execution of this memorandum. So that controls that this commercial development that we want to see happens, and it requires that be done within a certain time frame. The site plan, the master site plan, also is very focused on keeping this project tied together so that there's a lot of interaction between the commercial buildings, the commercial endeavors out here, and the residential that's on site, and the people that can come through the project as well. The second thing that it really does as a memorandum is control the phasing. So it's basically phasing is in three parts. We already mentioned the first part, that the commercial portions need to be built within 5 years. That's a standalone phase. The other phases are phase one of the residential, the first 301 units, and phase two, another 120 units to be built. Those happen also with timeframes. The memorandum asks for the first building permits to be submitted for the first phase residential within the first 2 years after the execution of the memorandum. Along with the residential component, that first phase includes the first residential units and then also the parking garage. It's 4.5-story parking structure within this one building, and all of the improvements that are associated with it, this parking and then these connecting improvements here, and the utility infrastructure that's needed for this commercial phase that's going to be built. That's a significant investment, and it also includes the word is escaping me, the public improvements that are different in the mixed use zone out here on 900 East. So we have the larger sidewalks and park strips. It's a nice pedestrian environment that doesn't currently exist real well on 900 East. That would be a really nice kind of a look there in that corridor. That's all in phase one. Phase two then is the remainder of this, the residential units and the associated improvements. The other thing that the memorandum controls is that it makes this access through from 900 East to the neighborhood to the west a permanent fixture. It guarantees that stays open for these applicants and for anyone that they assign the project to or that they sell to. This will remain open in perpetuity now, and there'll be no more danger of that access going away. That's important for first responders and important just for the convenience of the folks in this neighborhood that rely on that ability to get out here to 900 East and use this light, that semaphore to get north and south. Those are really along with those shot clocks, there's another 4-year shot clock for the other component, phase two component, to be submitted for building permits, or sorry, the commercial phase building permits need to be in within 4 years, construction within 5. Those are the main components of the memorandum. Aside from that, it does the standard things that you would normally expect. It makes it clear that nothing's exempted from the rules of the city, that the other laws and ordinances of the mixed use zone apply no matter what, successors and assigns, etc. So that's basically the need for it. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to respond to those. I didn't really talk about the central feature and things like that, but we talked about that in the work session. Again, just important that we tie the commercial phasing to the residential phasing so that it's a very good, truly mixed use site.
Okay, thank you, Jared. Do the applicants want to speak?
I don't think I have anything additional to add. I think Jared did a great job of presenting it, but would be happy to answer any questions if anyone had some.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll bring it back to the council. Do you have any questions?
I have a few questions about just the separation from the neighborhood to this project, and about wall height and what the setback is there and what it is currently, just to kind of have a better understanding of that. I know you talked about it in the
Sure.
planning commission.
So are you talking about the separation of the building here on the west side from the neighborhood
Yes.
and the wall height? So the project will include an 8-foot wall to sort of buffer, and then this buffering landscaping as well. The distance to this building escapes me, but the height requirements were all reviewed by the planning commission, and I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly how tall the building is off the top of my head, but I could get back into it. We did a little bit of a diagram to show kind of the wall height of this proposed building versus the height of the Kmart building, but it didn't actually add much value to the discussion because the Kmart building sits closer. It's shorter, but it sits a lot closer than this building will. Currently, it sits like 30 feet from it or something like that from the back.
I wrote it down. It was 35 feet currently,
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
In the back of the building, and then the new one would be 75 feet. And I wanted to highlight just so that, there is a buffer, and it would be away from the residents, and it wouldn't be as much of a disturbance.
That's a great point. And I think we talked about that in the planning commission. You're right. It's shorter, but it's closer, and the area between right now, the area between the existing subdivision and the new project was kind of loading docks and garbage trash containers for Kmart. It'll be landscaping and parking and the wall buffer under the new proposal. It should be getting better. It is a taller building significantly, but it's a lot further away, and it is buffered a lot more nicely now.
Because I know their biggest concern right now is because it's empty and there's transients and there's a lot of stuff going on behind that building. So
yeah, a lot
of course would avoid going into this memorandum. I'm assuming, Mr. Kimball, you would end up blocking it, tearing down that building, and fencing off the space. Is that correct of the phase of construction? And
Yep, that's exactly right.
okay.
Yeah, that's where our first phase will go. So that would be the first items to occur.
We're right there.
Perfect. And just kind of walk me through the process after once this does get approved. They then go in and receive what happens after this?
That's a great question. So when this memorandum is executed, that allows them to then move forward with confidence for their building permits. So there's always a significant amount of back end work, and Justin and Stephen know this. It's probably the biggest headaches they have. We get what we call an entitlement in place, and that's already here with the Planning Commission's action. You formalize that or kind of formalize its future with this memorandum, and that dictates that before he really does anything else, Justin and Stephen come in and get permits for this first phase building and the infrastructure. The infrastructure will actually probably happen first. There's a lot of utility work that needs to happen. There's a lot of grading and things like that need to happen. And for all of that to happen, like you mentioned, Councilwoman, the site will be fenced off. The access, the beauty of this particular project is that this access that's so important can remain open while it's going through improvement for these first phases. And then while it gets improved, and then when phase 2 is ready to go, it can be shifted while it's being improved in this new way that's much better than the current situation through the parking lot. It can be shifted onto the building C site and then put back in place when building C is ready to get underway. So it couldn't really have worked out better for that. But the first thing, like Justin mentioned, will be building permits being sought for these first residential structures and for the infrastructure work that needs to happen out here on 900 East to accommodate the commercial, because they'll need to get going on that sooner or later too. But the infrastructure happens first. So utility infrastructure for the commercial and the residential, and then the building permits for the residential first phase, 301 units.
Okay, perfect. And building C is what's closer to Ivy Place, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Do you have anything about the layout and what this looks like? I know we had concerns that what was a common theme too is the concerns of school district and how that's going to affect them, and what type of housing are we looking at and to accommodate? Yeah,
so the unit mixes are all part of the original approval. And I think you can actually see them on the site plan that's up. There are 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and a handful of 3-bedroom units. The only thing that really generates a big burden for school districts are 3 bedrooms and up. This was vetted by Rocky at the Murray School District, and we actually reached out to Granite as well in case they would be needing to weigh in. Both districts responded positively that they'd be able to handle any influx of students from these units. They don't tend to, in everyone's experience, they don't tend to generate as much student load as you would expect from the numbers. Most of the kids in the 1 and 2 bedroom units are smaller kids. You do have handfuls of junior high or high school kids, that kind of thing. But if the mix were heavier toward the 3 bedroom, you'd have a lot of burden on the elementary schools, but we just don't see that out of these units.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Those are all my questions.
You bet. Thank you.
I wanted you to go over. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Are there any other questions? Doesn't sound like it. One thing I want to say about it is I'm glad we came to fruition on that road, because that was a big deal for me too, to be able to have those residents be able to use that road. With that, if there are no more questions, I'll look for a motion.
One last thing, Jared, and this is more for, information for our residents and just making sure, not everybody is privy to the Planning Commission meeting, but can you talk a little bit about the findings, with the traffic study and how that plays into that back neighborhood and the easements?
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to. So there was a traffic study performed on the project. This isn't the kind of project that you do without having some concern about parking or traffic infrastructure, et cetera. Joe Perrin from A-Trans did the study. Trey Stokes, our city engineer, required that it go beyond the normal boundaries for something like this. So we went all the way to 45th South to those intersections on 9th and 45th and 9th and Van Winkle, and even just a little bit beyond to make sure we captured kind of the real potential impact. And to put it in a nutshell, there are a lot of accidents in this stretch of 900 East in this area, and then going down toward 45th and Van Winkle. This section is not as safe right now as most sections of 900 East. There is other sections. A-Trans felt like with the improvements to the signals here, improvements in timing, and then adding some better queuing, and then controlling left turns on the north end here that already exists, and removing a couple of other informal accesses, the safety on 900 East in this area would probably be improved. Looking at the history of the kinds of accidents, they're almost all left turn incidents. So with controlled turns, better queuing, controlled accesses, it should get safer up here. Lots of the intersections, they're not terribly impacted in terms of level of service. That's how quickly people can execute maneuvers in them, turn left, turn right, go straight through, et cetera. They're lined up pretty well. Basically the traffic study indicated that this would be a successful project. At the time that the traffic study was done, interestingly, the developers had chosen to block this road off. So when the traffic study was performed, it showed the project without an access to the west neighborhood. But Joe knew kind of our thinking on it, and Justin and Stephen already knew that we wanted to see about it getting open. So that was included. Well, he considered the neighborhood anyway and said, basically, if this project goes in, the levels of service at the intersection still function fairly well. And even if that project is open so that traffic from this neighborhood can continue to come through, it can handle both the existing neighborhood and the new development, with some adjustments to timing and the extra queuing lanes that are added by this newer intersection upgrade. So basically we feel like it'll be okay. There were some concerns from the neighbors. The majority of them didn't have to do with, there were a lot of people concerned with being able to get through, keeping it open, like Councilman Cox said. But there were a handful of folks that were worried about traffic from this project going out through the neighborhood to get to Van Winkle instead of going out to Ninth East. The traffic study didn't find that that would be a common occurrence. It's not a direct route through. In fact, it would be hard for it to be less direct. It's pretty indirect. I don't suspect that would be an issue, but that was a concern that was raised. We tried to address that the best we could, but the traffic study did actually mention that as well and did not determine that many people would be trying to get out to Van Winkle through this neighborhood. So they shouldn't see many impacts. The Planning Commission did mention asking the developers to post a sign asking residents of their neighborhood not to go through that neighborhood. That was floated out there. It's not a problem. We could do that kind of thing, and maybe. But basically, in the end, we felt like it was more important to keep that access to the neighborhood open for their sake and for safety's sake, even with the possibility that some people from the apartments might every once in a while go through that area. So. I don't know if that I talked for so long. I don't know if I answered your question. I'm sorry.
No, that did. I know it was in depth, and I know you guys did a lot of work between the last or the Planning Commission and when you presented to now. So
yeah,
I really wanted to highlight that.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that.
No, you're welcome. I'll talk about this stuff for fun anytime. So if anybody ever wants to really get into it, give me a call anytime.
Mr. Kimball, I don't mean to make you nervous. I just want to make sure we get, we just reiterate all the good things about this project and really highlight them. And I think
Jared loves this stuff.
I appreciate the comments. And the only other thing I was going to mention about the traffic study, which I think is a benefit, is that it was done pre-COVID. And so the traffic counts and everything were when traffic was a little bit more normal. So
that's true. I forgot about that. I had not thought about that, Justin. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And lastly, I know this was presented to the Planning Commission on December 5th. Has anything significantly changed? I know that between now and then, and I know we didn't really go over that over the committee of the whole, but
yeah,
I'm sure there hasn't very much, but
no, we had some road improvements and things like that. The biggest change has been the market, and we kind of expected to have a quicker push for the MOU, but we're glad to get it done and know that the developers are ready to keep moving forward. Absolutely.
Well, I'm excited either way. So
it'll be a great project.
Thank you for answering my questions, Jared.
Anytime.
Okay, any other questions? Jared, will you repeat all that again? I missed part of it.
You bet.
No, I'm kidding. Honestly, I am kidding. Are there any other questions? If not, I'll look for a motion.
Can we take that off the screen there, and I'll make a motion?
I'll get rid of that stuff.
It's so much nicer to see everyone's faces when you make your motion, so you can see what are they looking like when I'm doing this. Okay, I'm going to make a motion. Is that okay, Dale? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve a resolution authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding with Kimball Investments, LLC, and ICO Multifamily Holdings, LLC. Jointly developer.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Jennifer?
Ms. Dominguez,
Aye.
Ms. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. House,
Aye.
Ms. Martinez,
Aye.
and Mr. Cox.
Aye. Thank you. Next on the agenda, consider a resolution approving the interlocal cooperation agreement between Murray City and Salt Lake County related to County Urban Wildlife Assistance Program. Chief Burnett.
Thank you. Excuse me. We're asking you to approve the resolution for an interlocal agreement with Salt Lake County. We've with this year with us taking Salt Lake County taking our animal service contract. They offer a program that's through the United States Department of Agriculture. We pay Salt Lake County, they manage it for them, but it involves urban wildlife, which is specifically skunks and raccoons. So it's a good resource for our residents if they are having issues with either one of those, skunks and raccoons, and they would be able to call animal control, and they would be able to work out the services for them to come take care of skunks and raccoons. So that's what this resolution or this interlocal cooperation agreement is about. you have any questions.
You did a great job in meeting of the whole when you presented this. Are there any questions for the chief? Other than cats got skunks.
I'm just thrilled that we're doing this. I get calls all the time on raccoons, not skunks. I hope that continues, but for raccoons, I have had lots and lots of calls recently, and I know everyone from the city's familiar with that. We weren't able to do anything, so this is going to be great.
Okay, I just want to clarify, cat skunks come from Taylorsville. They aren't Murray skunks.
I thought they came from your district, Dale. I thought that they
Well, I push them down. I don't allow them in District 2.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thanks to the chief for this great new program, because I know that we definitely need it.
Are there any other questions?
We don't have any in District 3. Just Chief, I do have a question. So what's the process? How do I call the emergency line because I'm scared? What do I do?
We'd call Salt Lake County Animal Services, and then their dispatch would arrange to have somebody come out or give you the resources to get their trapper to come and help you out. So we would
Perfect.
call their dispatch.
Don't call the council.
Well,
Or
phone number so you can pass it out.
yeah, we will make sure to get that out. So thank you so much, Chief.
All right, if there aren't any questions, I'll look for a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution approving an interlocal cooperation agreement between Murray City and Salt Lake County relating to the County Urban Wildlife Assistance Program.
Do I have a second?
I will go ahead and second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Jennifer?
Ms. Dominguez,
Aye.
Ms. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. Hels,
Aye.
Ms. Martinez,
Aye. Sorry about that.
Mr. Cox.
Aye. Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, next we'll consider a resolution authorizing the execution of an updated memorandum or updated Metropolitan Narcotics Task Force Agreement, an interlocal cooperation agreement between the Drug Enforcement Administration, Homeland Security Investigations, Internal Revenue Service Investigations, Salt Lake City Unified Police, Utah Department of Public Safety, West Valley City, Murray City, Sandy City, Tooele, West Jordan City, South Jordan City, Park City, Utah Department of Corrections, Cottonwood Heights are the parties for the coordinated effort of federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies to enhance the enforcement of laws against drug trafficking. Chief Burnett again.
Okay, thank you. Like we talked earlier today, this is just an update of the agreement that we've been involved with. You see there's a lot of people there that we get resources and to help us, and we get to help them. And so this is just us agreeing to the task force and us being able to utilize their resources and us be a part of it.
Any questions for the chief? If not, I'll look for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution authorizing the execution of, my goodness, I want to just say what you read earlier. Can I say that, GL? And by the time he says yes or no, I might as well read it. Okay. I'm going to update the Metropolitan Narcotics Task Force Agreement and an interlocal cooperation agreement between the am I on the right line? Drug Enforcement Administration, Homeland Security Investigations, Internal Revenue Service Investigations, Salt Lake City Unified Police Department, Utah Department of Public Safety, West Valley City, Murray City, Sandy City, Tooele City, West Jordan City, South Jordan City, Park City, Utah Department of Corrections, and Cottonwood Heights, the parties for the coordinated efforts of federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies to enhance the enforcement of laws against drug trafficking.
Wow.
I'll second it.
Would you say it?
It's been moved and seconded. Jennifer?
Ms. Dominguez,
I just want to say that's why I didn't make the motion. Thank you.
Ms. Turner,
You're a fast learner, Rosalba. Aye.
Mr. Hells,
Aye.
Ms. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Cox.
Aye. Thank you again. And now we'll go to the mayor's report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of things this evening. I want to let the council know that with these unusually high temperatures that we've had this year, the cost of wholesale power has gone up almost 10 times in the last couple of weeks. And I mean 10 times the amount. So we have been running our gas turbines, which have turned out to be a really great thing and a great investment, because we have been saving approximately $16,000 a day by generating our own power over what we would have to be paying over the open market during these last several days. So that was a great investment some years ago. It's paying off for us right now. Excuse me. As you know, we have sent two firefighters along with an auxiliary truck to the Williamsport fire in Colorado. They're working, we're told, 16-hour days right now. They have 5 days remaining on their deployment, and then they'll be heading back to Murray. Just want to remind you and the public that the Vine Street survey closes at the end of this week. If anyone wants to provide input about the section of Vine Street between 13th East and Van Winkle, this is the opportunity to do so. Visit the website and select Vine Street Survey under what's happening on the home page. So we encourage all the residents to be heard on that survey. I know that you're all aware that school has started, which means that our school crossing zones are active. We want to remind the public to slow down, be careful, watch out when those yellow lights are flashing. Pay special attention to the crosswalks. We just want to remind that we, as was mentioned in an earlier meeting today or tonight, that there have been children hit in crosswalks in school zones. And so we just want to remind the public to be aware and slow down. And finally, the Property Watch program that was discussed earlier today, just wanted to let the council know that we have posted information on our social media in May about the Property Watch. We posted it on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and are happy to continue to post additional information about the Property Watch. So bless you, whoever that was.
It was Brett.
Okay. And that's my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the mayor?
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead. I have something after.
Okay, sorry. As far as the power goes, have we been affected because of the fires or anything from California in terms of the cost of power? And do we get anything from California? I can't remember, but I know it's affected solar.
No, we're none of our sources are from California. In fact, the IPP is selling to California. But so no, there hasn't been an impact. The impact has just been because people are using so much of it to cool their homes. Is what's caused the power rates to go up.
And we're home more too, I'm sure.
Right.
Lastly, where can we find the Vine Street survey?
Go to the city website on the front page under what's happening. click on the What's Happening button, and you'll see the Vine Street survey.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor.
Mhm.
Brett?
And mine's not a question for the mayor, but thank you. I just wanted to mention what you'd said earlier, Dale, about Dave. I just want to say how much I appreciated working with Dave Naponsky. He was really fun to work with. He always was looking out for the citizens. Kind of had a special way about him that would make you just kind of laugh over certain things. And I've been reminiscing with Dale a lot this week on regarding Dave. But I just wanted to just give a shout out to his family and to Jerry, especially his wife, and just real deep appreciation for Dave's 8 years of service. And if you've sold the car, get off the lot, and that's what I'll do. I'll get off the lot. So thanks.
Thanks, Brett. That's one of my favorites. This guy just went on and on. I spoke about this at his funeral today. This guy just went on and on as a developer. And Dave finally said, "You sold the car, get off the lot." So the guy sat down, then Dave voted against it. And I asked Dave, I said, "Why'd you do that?" He said, "Well, one of my constituents out there didn't want it, so that's why I voted against it." So he was always hanging out for his people. That was good. Okay, if there are no more questions, I'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.